every once in a while, you just get proven right. There's really no other way to put it than that, right? You say something and you know that it's true. You know that it's true, and you've got evidence that it's true, but to really put your argument for why it's true into words is something that's kind of difficult, right? But then along comes something that just perfectly illustrates your point in a way that essentially makes it so you don't need to find the words to express your feeling at all. You can just show everybody what you mean. And one of those feelings that I've had for a while now is that the right has this desire to simultaneously feel powerful, strong, macho, and like they're at the top of the world and in control of everything because they view power, popularity, control, etc. as a sign of strength and as a sign of being correct and as a sign of being good. And yet at the same time, they have this very strong desire to be viewed as victims, to be viewed as the ones that are the underdog, the ones fighting against the man, the ones fighting for freedom against tyranny, which is bizarre considering that's just not the case. But besides that, it also seems like these two positions are so inherently contradictory, don't they? And they are inherently contradictory. Conservatives will simultaneously say that YouTube and social media are cracking down on their YouTube channels and making it so that they can't reach any new audiences, and the algorithm is killing them, and they YouTube's so unfair to them, and they're getting false strikes over nothing. They're never breaking TOS. It's not like they all that kind of stuff, right? They'll drum up their own little pity party about how they're being unfairly treated by these platforms. But then them and their fans, if you dare speak out against them, will talk about how much more popular they are, how many more subs and followers and views they get, and how that is an indicator of the correctness of their opinions. How can a set of ideas simultaneously be ideas that are being held down by the elite left? The people, the overwhelming people that are now outnumbering the Republicans. How can this be the voice of the majority and also the underdog? It doesn't make any sense. They say they're the silent majority, but also the underdog being put down. It really makes no sense. Here is, I feel like, a shining example of that victim complex. And I want to juxtapose this with another thing. So this is a comic, and I swear to God, this comic is not ironic. It is not a joke. It is not a meme. It is not being made in jest. This is a comic that was made by an actual conservative who believes that this is the state of the world, or at the very least, that this is the direction that the world is headed. The comic is very simple. 4 panels and simple as. Sinfest is the name of the artist, yes. You have this shady sunglasses wearing, I guess, federal agent who slid open a slat in an iron door in a solitary confinement cell where there seems to be a young girl, a literal child sitting in a prison uniform, literally in jail. Are trans women women? And the girl replies, men can't be women. No one can change their sex. And then the guard replies, wrong answer, which is true. And then release denied, slams the little thing shut. So let's take apart the comic first, I guess. Are trans women women? Men can't be women. No one can change their sex. Obviously not even willing. Conservative propaganda relies on a diswillingness to honestly engage with the opposition, right? So the opposition, the left, very steadfastly and consistently, continuously makes the same consistent statements. Sex and gender are not the same thing. Biological sex exists in 2 components. On a level that is more or less unchangeable, with modern technology, like on the chromosomal level and what have you, as well as on the more physical, sexual characteristic level. And that is how biological sex exists, and it exists in a bimodal distribution in such case. And for the most part, besides these sexual characteristics, your sex really can't be changed all that much, if at all. Gender, on the other hand, exists separate from that. and is functionally what most people mean when they refer to sex. And gender is, as I mentioned with sex, overwhelmingly agreed upon to not be a binary. Not only that, but there is nothing about gender, definitionally, or for the matter, academically, that makes it static, that makes it unchanging. So this is simply not only a lack of ability to reply to. It's funny because the question, she's not even answering the question the person asks in the comic, which is kind of funny because even the comic artist acknowledges that like they can't answer the question yes or no, and explain like why on the terms of the actual scientific established precedent for this topic, right? They can't acknowledge even the difference between sex and gender. When you tell them that and you send them all the data and all the studies and all the academic institutions and all of the meta-analysis and all that shit, they say, oh, well, they'll say anything from, oh, well, the Jews have infiltrated academia, so you can't trust any of it now, to, well, SJW liberals have infiltrated academia, so you can't trust any of it now. Those are basically the two responses that you get in response to all that data. So basically, this is how the right exists with their propaganda. They refuse to acknowledge reality, obviously. They refuse to acknowledge the even like the most basic tenets of their opposition's argument. They can't even honestly engage. They have to straw man. And while at the same time, they claim to be the popular, strong voice of the silent majority or whatever. They claim to be the strong, buff super chads, giga alpha sigma male, whatever the fuck. And yet at the same time, there are these poor little babies who are being oppressed by society. Society is so anti-white, so anti-male. They can't, you can't be cis, you can't be straight, yada, yada, yada. You are literally on the edge of being put in prison for wrong thing. By the way, imagine thinking for the record, by the way, if you think this is a future that is even close to possible, you are delusional, okay? The closest scenario to somebody getting arrested for anything having to do with misgendering or not agreeing with trans people being valid that could possibly happen would be with Canada's Bill C-16 bill, most notably, which would be if you were like, say, the manager of a McDonald's and one of your employees was a trans woman, and then her dead name was Joe. And every time you saw this employee, you said, "Hey, Joe, how you doing, Joe? What's up, Joe?" And just like continuously like misgendered, constantly dead naming. You were doing it purposefully and with the intent to harass. And if this employee could prove this in a court of law, then potentially the person who did it could be fined, or sentenced to actual jail time if that went along with other forms of more violent and incessant harassment. So essentially, the only way in which somebody's belief that trans people aren't valid could actually wind them up in prison, outside of, I don't know, like seeing a trans woman and deciding to assault them and then getting arrested, is like an instance in which you use the basis of being trans to harass and assault somebody, like verbally, which is already illegal for other reasons. It's just in this case, they acknowledge the motive might be different than in other scenarios, which is important when designating crimes. So, really, at the end of the day, what does this all sound like? The idea that, like, what does all this sound like? Well, let me wrote up a list of 14 points. Ideas or points that are kind of like a list of checks, so to say. That if you think a set of ideas, a person, an ideology, whatever it may be, is fascistic, then you can basically line it up with these checkboxes, and if most of them are checked off, then you're probably dealing with fascism. Now, we've literally gone over Trump's speeches and checked off like 13 of these boxes before in one speech. But I do want to point to one of these points about fascism that I think is very, very important to point out. Yes, here it is. Point number 8. The enemy is both strong and weak. Quote unquote, by a continuous shifting of rhetorical focus, the enemies are at the same time too strong and too weak. That is to say, transgenderism is weakening our society and contributing to moral degradation that will destroy us, much like the fall of the Roman Empire, and yet at the same time, they are this overwhelming force that is taking over our society and too powerful for these strong traditional conservatives to handle on a culture war level. And they're just losing the war to these trans corporate entities, I guess. And of course, plenty of other examples of this, of like these points are exhibited in just that comic alone. But another thing to back this up is I can't find the origin of it, but a very common Nazi slogan is, "The Jew cries out in pain as he strikes you." It was used, it's used now by Nazis to describe the Jews during the Holocaust. They claim the Holocaust did not happen, of course. And they say that the Jews, and they're talking about the Holocaust and talking about it as being a tragedy and whatnot, is while at the same time in their mind controlling society and causing all of the problems they face, is them crying out in pain as they strike them. They think that the Jews complaining about this made-up Holocaust thing is a way of distracting from the fact they're controlling the world and causing all the world's problems, the very same ideology and thought process that caused the Holocaust. So, I'm not saying this fucking person's a Nazi or anything. What I am saying is that the idea that, like, the minority who is objectively, like, kind of, at odds with what society considers to be normal and like, okay, who has to fight against stereotypes, hate, and, like, harassment and bullying. The idea that those that are powerful and those that have always been traditionally seen as, like, the normal, well-off, like, the ones that society has always seen as the good ones, right? White, straight white, cishet, conservative types, like the most accepted group in society, historically speaking, at least, that now all of a sudden they are the most oppressed group in society. It's all about feeling like the victim. There really is a lot of crossover between modern day conservatism and fascism. And I think it's important to recognize that because, look what they're trying to do to the country. Not to mention, by the way, they make that comic about how, like, trans people are, like, putting cis people in prison or whatever. And yet right now, let's see. Let's search trans bill and look at news to see what the newest. Wait, first thing that comes up is anti-trans legislation tracker. Perfect. Okay. What's the newest one? 07/08/2022. Providing for sport activities in public institutions of higher education and public school entities to be expressly designated male, female, or co-ed, and created causes for action for harm suffered by designation. Vetoed. Thank God. Biological sex, interscholastic athletics, another fucking trans sports bill. School aid impact fiscal year amendment section. I don't know what this is supposed to be. A bill for an act relating to student eligibility requirements in school district accredited non-public schools, region institutions, community college, and certain other institutions of higher education athletics based on sex and including effective passed. So that was a bill that just made it so that if you're a trans woman and you made it on, like, the college, like, I don't know, like, swim team for girls, now you're not allowed. You're like, you're getting into the college does not count now, if that's what got you in, I guess, is what that did. So yeah, we literally have a website dedicated to tracking the bills in America alone that are taking rights away from trans people. A website called freedomforallamericans.org tracking anti-trans bills live as they come in. And when I scroll down the list, it goes for a while. I think that should illustrate to you exactly why I pointed out these parallels. With that said, if you enjoyed this segment, Consider leaving a like, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching the VOD after it's, I've ended stream, or if you're watching this video after it goes out as its own segment. And of course, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. Otherwise, they just simply won't do that. They'll just decide not to, so make sure to do that. And of course, if you want to see more from me on the internet, be sure to follow my social media, all of course linked down below in the description, including my Instagram, Twitter, fan Discord, TikTok, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And finally, if you want to support me financially so that I can afford to move up to Seattle and start making all sorts of poggers new content involving Quail and collaborations in real life with all sorts of content creators that you know and love, including Demon Mama and Vosh, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on the website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or even through Patreon. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.